A.G.F.C. Well, these electronic pub doors that are open. Come on in, grab a seat, grab your favorite snack, your favorite drink. Sit back with us for a while as we go over the good word. Continue our journey into revelations, the mysteriousness of the here and the now, the past and what's to come. So sit back with us for a while as we get into the chat and see who's in the back. Welcome, who you are, whoever you are, and wherever you are. Part of this world. I hope everything's going good in your part. Beautiful here in sunny California. Yeah, it's I'd say maybe 78, 80. Mystic 22222. What is going on, my brother? Oh, yes. Let me get that for you. I'm kind of lacking on my responsibilities, aren't I? There you go, my brother. There you go. So we are going to travel into Revelations again. We've been doing this for the past 2 weeks, trying to get through it, kick it off, and it's been through one trial and tribulation after another, isn't it, Mystic? But we are pushing through it, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, watching this broadcast right now.
One trial.
I want to welcome my friend, special friend, Mystic 22222. How you doing, my friend? Hi.
We've been hacking at this for 3 weeks. And the hacking gets even more hackier.
Yeah, well. You know, I've been praying that God makes this thing kick off and get shared around the world to as many as we can get it shared to.
Me.
Oh, no. But other than that, how you doing?
I don't care. What I care about is how my work's doing. And here's the thing. In World War II, the bomber pilots would tell you, before they had radar and GPS maps and all that stuff, they would tell you that they didn't know where the targets were, but they knew they were over the target when the flak started going off, exploding all around them. And in the spiritual battles, they say, you know you're doing the right job when everything goes wrong, impossibly wrong.
Yep.
Because the enemy is throwing a flak. For example, about an hour ago, there was an accident where a TV was broken, and everybody had to come to me because they were literally freaking out.
Dad.
And it's been like that all week.
Right, Dad.
Nevertheless, I have managed to collect about a dozen talking points. Most of them very short. And so this is all off the cuff. This will become a finished product eventually. This will have to be totally redone as a continuous video, a much more efficient video. But for now, I have to ask the audience to be very indulgent and realize that sticking with us through these inconvenient disruptions and an awful lot of ham-fistedness is worth it, because if it wasn't, we wouldn't be having all this trouble getting it to you.
Those are part of our audience and our viewers.
Your voice just faded, Brian.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Barely. Just a very faint buzz in the background. How am I?
You're fine.
Okay. So it's your turn to be all muffled
So
like 2 weeks ago.
You're muffled. Shh.
okay.
Now you're dead silent. Dead silent.
How
See,
about
folks,
now?
this is what I'm talking about.
How about now?
She's putting up a crucifix to ward off evil spirits.
How about now?
I can barely hear you now, which is better than 30 seconds ago.
Okay, hold on a second.
I need to be able to hear.
No, that's not it.
No.
Nothing.
Okay, hold on.
I will hold on.
Is that any better?
She's got her fingers crossed and I got my eyes crossed.
Me too.
How's that? Is that any better?
No different.
No different?
No different at all. It's only my excellent hearing that makes it even possible to make out what you're saying.
Okay, hold on a second.
Now, that's not entirely your fault. My speakers are terribly weak. Oh, by the way, I need my headphones.
Crap, I don't know where they are.
That would compensate for a lot. Maybe other people can hear you okay if they turn their volumes up. I cannot turn my volume up unless I find my headphones.
Well, I'm gonna have to. I'm getting.
Nope.
Okay.
I'm 5x5 on my end.
No change yet.
I am so mad at you.
Not now, Faith. We're on
Get
there.
the headphones. Get the headphones. Headphones to Grandpa. Where are they?
I don't. They're supposed to be here, I think.
Oh, he can hear you?
I can't hear him.
We need the
Can
headphones.
you hear me now?
Oh, there's somewhere over there. There's somewhere over there. Yeah. The phone's
So did my
ringing,
voice
ringing,
just
ringing.
automatically fade out?
No.
Not now, Faith. Not now. Go, go, go. You can't even show your face on the screen. Why?
Not now.
Because. Just go. Go look at the headphones inside. Please, Faith. I see them. I see them.
Let's go ahead. I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, that's
fine.
a different set.
Oh, God.
That's a different set of headphones.
But it's going to have to work.
I'm going to try to boost. I'm going to try to boost your volume by bypassing my speakers. Let me see. Talk to me now.
Okay, how do I sound?
Well, now I can. Now even a normie could hear you, but it's way down there at the bottom. So everybody, if you can turn your speakers way up, that would work. But I'm going to be booming, and you're going to be just audible.
Okay, well, you're going to be the one doing most of the talking anyway.
All right.
Go. I'm going to put one of those.
Okay, so let me go ahead and get started. We're in 9 minutes in. Wow. Okay, so the news of the week keeps dragging us back to Revelation 6 and Daniel 9. A large part of what we're doing here is not just interpreting Revelation. What we're really trying to do is teach you to learn how to interpret Revelation.
Correct.
And part of that is keeping one finger in the scriptures and one finger on the headlines. The headlines this week are leaning very, very, very hard on the conclusion that we may have just started the 7-year countdown.
I believe so.
Like I said, nobody's going to have time to get old. Even if you think you're old now, you're not going to have time to die of old age. 7 years. And not very many people are going to be around at the end of this. So we have 2 items, news of the week. Oh, one of the things we were going to do is I was going to try and see if I could post a link or 2.
Okay.
And to see in this application,
Just try to do it
I
in the
gotta.
chat as in the chat.
All I have is the private chat, but that should be okay. Okay, here we go. So first, I will summarize. The first thing is an update to the temple and the red heifer. The first heifer will come of age this time next year, October 2023, 1 year from now.
Yep.
That's the first thing.
Okay.
The second thing is that the way has been cleared to erect the third temple. Remember, we were talking about that we would need a miracle to get access to the Temple Mount?
Yeah.
Turns out that's not quite true, because the building of the temple begins on the Mount of Olives. And it turns out that they have already established the beginnings of the temple underground, underneath where they want to set up the Holy of Holies. I have 2 videos for you to put up.
Okay.
So let me see if I can post those YouTube links. Okay.
Okay.
So on the 12th of this month, the third temple commissioning ceremony was performed with the first libation ceremony.
All right.
So let's see if I can post a link.
Okay.
Looks like I can for the first time ever. Not here, not now.
Which came through on my private. Okay, let me see something here. Copy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Copy link. All right, ladies and gentlemen, there's the link that Mystic was just talking about. That will
And
take you to.
And I'm going to post the second link, but could you go ahead and start playing that?
Okay, hold on a second. Let me
Sure.
go into YouTube and search for it.
You can't just
Feast
copy
of the
that
Tabernacles. Feast of the Tabernacles. Hold on a second.
Sure, you can't just post that link into your
yeah. Here we go.
This is from October 12th, 2022, the reenactment of the water libation held to prepare the third temple. And worth mentioning right now, Sukkot is going on, or the Feast of Tabernacles, or the Feast of Shelters or Booths. This is a Jewish holiday, the seventh and the last feast that the Lord commanded Israel to observe, and one of the 3 feasts that they were told to go and appear before the Lord your God in the place which he shall choose. The importance of the Feast of Tabernacles is that it can be seen how many times in Scripture it was mentioned to point out important events. One thing that happened during the Feast of Tabernacles was that Solomon's temple was dedicated to the Lord. That's 1 Kings 8:2. And it was also during the Feast of Tabernacle that the Israelites who had returned to rebuild the temple gathered to celebrate under the leadership of Joshua and Zerubbabel in Ezra 3, and many other instances, many events that went on in Scripture during the Feast of Tabernacles. But I'm going to read this article from 365 News. This is about the reenactment of the water libation held to prepare for the third temple. I believe 2 Thessalonians 2:4 in the reference that the Antichrist will stand within the temple of God. I believe that they will build a third temple again. and the Antichrist will stand in this temple and demand the worship of everyone in the entire world who worships any god to worship him within this temple. The Jewish people are doing everything they can to build it, and not only that, but many of them hold this belief system that all the nations of the world will go there to worship, therefore making sense and leading to the conclusion that the Antichrist will demand the nation's worship from this third temple. So I'm just going to read this article. I'll leave it linked in the description if you'd like to read it yourself. It says, "Joyful shall you draw water from the fountains of triumph," Isaiah 12:3. On Tuesday, a full-dress reenactment of the water libation as it was performed in the temple was held in Jerusalem with several hundred participants led by Kohanim and priestly guard, accompanied by Levites playing musical instruments. The event began at Shar Hashbot, the Dung Gate in Jerusalem's Old City, where participants joined Kohanim, priests, in biblically mandated vestments, and Levites with musical instruments, also wearing special vestments. The musically gifted Levites led the ceremony with joyous music on drums, violin, guitar, clarinet, winding down ancient walkways into the valley below the Temple Mount. The crowd sang and danced as they passed from the archaeological remains of the ancient city of David through an Arab village to the Shiloh or Siloam spring, which was used in the temple times. The procession was punctuated by stops during which 4-foot-long pure silver trumpets were sounded. The event was overseen by Rabbi Yisrael Ariel, the founder of the Temple Institute, and quite a few other rabbis. You can read the list on the website. At the head of the parade was the gold vessel, the water jug. At the Shiloh pool, the jug was filled. The procession climbed back up to the top of the mountain. A model altar and its utensils had been set up in an open area adjacent to the western wall. The altar was decorated with large leafy willow branches, as was done in the temple. The ceremony culminated in the priestly blessing, after which the 1 in 7 years Hakal ceremony was held. Though not explicitly mandated in the Torah, the water libation is part of the oral tradition passed down from Moses. Sukkot is a joyous holiday, and the water libation was the focal point of this joy. In the temple, the ceremony would take 15 hours, with accompanying celebrations lasting all night until the temple service began again the next morning. Nations came from around the world to take part in the Sukkot celebrations, making it an international worship of God. In temple times, a libation of water was made together with the pouring out of wine at the morning service on the last 6 days of the week-long Sukkot holiday, descending with the golden vessel to the temple to the Sukkot spring at the base of Mount Moriah, where they filled the flask with the 3 log of spring water, approximately 2 pints, and returned to the temple. 2 priests then ascended to the stone altar in the temple's inner courtyard, placing 2 silver cups on the southwestern corner. 1 priest poured the water from the silver flask, while the second priest simultaneously poured wine from the second cup, both liquids flowing into holes in the altar specially prepared for the ceremony. The Shiloh pool, Siloam in English and Salwan in Arabic, was a huge biblical import that will reemerge when the third temple is built. The pool of Siloam was the starting point for the pilgrims who made the annulling pilgrimage to Jerusalem for the biblical feasts. They would use the pool to wash and ritually purify themselves before ascending by foot to the inner court of the Temple Mount to bring their sacrificial offerings. Located outside the walls of the old city of Jerusalem to the southeast, the pool is fed by the waters of Gihon Spring, which are carried there by the Salam Tunnel, also known as Hezekiah's Tunnel, sometimes referred to in the Bible as the Lower Pool. The pool was built during the reign of Hezekiah, 715 to 687 BC, to replace an older Canaanite tunnel known biblically as the Upper Pool that was vulnerable to attackers. The new pool and tunnel left besieging armies without access to the spring's water. Archaeologists believe that during the Second Temple era, the waters continued to flow south and were collecting in an additional larger pool. This pool was discovered during the summer of 2004 and is continuing to be uncovered today. It should be noted that the year after Shemitah is auspicious for the arrival of the Messiah. The Babylonian Talmud and the Tractate of Sanhedrin 97a brings the verse from Amos, "On that day will I rise up the fallen booth, Sukkah, of David," Amos 9:11.
I want to show you the perfect tool for making stunning videos without leaving the house. Just go to artgrid.io.
First comes in the context of a prophecy about God bringing the nation of Israel back from exile among the nations. Amidst descriptions of the days preceding the Messiah, the Talmud says, "As it is written, in that day I will rise up the tabernacle of David that is fallen," our rabbis taught, in the 7-year cycle at the end of which the son of David will come in the first year. This verse will be fulfilled. On Rosh Hashanah 2 weeks ago, the Shemitah sabbatical year ended. The Talmud is stating explicitly that the Messiah will come in the first year after the Shemitah. It should be noted that the Talmud describes the days before the Messiah in depth, and they are especially difficult times. As we can see, a lot to unpack there, especially in the end there, where they start getting into the Talmud, which is not the teachings of God, it's the teachings of Rabbi. They're completely false, but you can see how they have these different prophecies within their own writings, just like within the Quran has. They have these things leading to what they believe the Messiah will come, made up in their own writings. The same thing there. I should probably do a more in-depth video on that, because we are seeing the Jewish people say that their Messiah is coming soon, that world events are looking like the Messiah, their Mashiach is coming soon. They don't accept Jesus Christ as the true Messiah. And as we know, just like it says in 2 Thessalonians, that Jesus Christ will not come, the second coming of the Messiah will not come until the son of perdition, the man of lawlessness, is revealed on the earth. So the Antichrist comes first before the true Messiah comes. So that's why it's so scary when we see these different religions, Jewish people, Islamic, everybody, even Buddhists, expecting another Buddha to come, when they're saying that there's going to be another Messiah, another Savior, someone who's going to come to the earth and fix all our problems. When the Bible says the next person who does that, they'll create peace plans, but then they're going to break them, and they're going to bring in and usher in the end of the world and a complete control of the earth, trying to get people to not follow Jesus Christ, but to follow the fallen ways, to receive the mark of the beast, and to worship the beast. And those who do, the Bible tells us that they will be cast into eternal judgment, where their smoke rises before the Lamb of God and the holy angels forever and ever. So it's important that we realize the timeline, that first comes the Antichrist, then the true Messiah, Jesus Christ. So that's what's going on. So kind of interesting how they're looking and seeing, oh, it looks like the time of the Messiah may come according to these Talmud traditions. And of course, as I'm covering in depth lately, that they are really moving for this third temple to be built. They think the nations are coming there. And as we see, this is just kind of where they're pushing and what they're really, really aiming for. Just amazing that this is going on, and the Feast of Tabernacles is going on. Just more moves of seeing prophecy being moved in place in the times that we're alive. So just a quick update on some more third temple news. I'll keep covering it as it comes out. Jesus is the Christ, the Messiah, the only way to salvation from this earth. Seek him and talk to him if you haven't. He will reveal to you that he is real. Talk to Jesus. He cares. Thanks for watching, and God bless.
Okay.
Yes. So,
Was there another one that you wanted me to search for?
yes, it's there in your private chat. And
Okay.
here's the thing,
Go ahead.
okay? We said that they couldn't really build a temple until they had that access.
Uh-huh.
But now they are actually moving to build the temple, which means at some point they got access.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
This is our
Yeah.
first clue, is that they started the libation ceremony. That's the very first step to cleansing the tools and the priests and the people, which is then required. Well, the next step is the sacrifice of the heifer to create the ash, which will be the next libation. That happens as early as October 2023, next year, this time next year.
Okay.
Another clue, and so far it has only been clues to us, Gentiles, is that they are currently building a railroad directly from the airport to this site, to where the temple will be. And they say it's so that the entire world can come to worship. Now, the world needs to understand the reason why the Jews lived under a terrible curse for so long is because they were given a commission to be the priests and kings to the whole world. And they decided that they would be priests and kings to themselves instead. Now they are doing what they are supposed to be doing, building the temple
Got a little greedy.
for the world to come to God. This is what they are doing. And this is the breaking of that curse. They apparently got it. Okay? This next link I am giving you is the third temple and red heifer update. They have access.
Okay.
The sacrifices could begin this time next year. Oh, and that railroad must be done by April of next year.
Yes.
I'm not sure
Level
why.
up with the new video editor. Get more AI power than ever.
The Jewish sage Maimonides from the 12th century said throughout the first and second temples there were 9 red heifers. He said the 10th would signal the appearance of the Messiah. That's why many are excited about this arrival.
update video on the red heifers that are in Israel. As you can see, many are excited because they think that this will usher in the coming of the Messiah. As we know, Jesus Christ is the Messiah, the fulfillment of all the messianic prophecies, but they're looking for another one, and the next man of peace, quote, man of peace that comes on the earth will indeed be the Antichrist who will fill these last days prophecies, which many of them surround this third temple, Jerusalem, and these red heifers could very well play a massive part in that. So I'll get into all of that in this video. So an update on these red heifers, as we know, they're in Israel, they're there, they've been checked out by rabbis, they meet the qualifications to be used in the sacrifice, and they can be used in a sacrifice 1 year from today. Here's an article from All Israel News. Red heifer sacrifice could take place in 1 year in Jerusalem. A plot of land on the Mount of Olives has been purchased and is ready for a valid sacrifice, the first since the destruction of the second temple. It says later in the article they must stay unblemished and red in order to be sacrificed when they are older than 2 years. Currently the calves are under just 1 year of age, so this could take place within a year. And as mentioned in that article, they've already bought a plot of land opposite of the Temple Mount, Al-Aqsa Mosque, where many people think the third temple will be built. Directly across from that on the Mount of Olives, in line with it perfectly, they have that plot of land, and that is most likely where the sacrifice will take place. And when the sacrifice takes place, after that, then the third temple can be rebuilt, because the ashes of the red heifer can purify the priests as well as the building of the third temple, which cannot be built until the purification process has taken place, as mentioned in Numbers 19. And they actually already even have the altar. Here's an article from 2018, Israel 365 News. Dedication of altar for third temple. On Monday, the Sanhedrin hosted the dedication of the altar for the third temple, marking the event with a full dress reenactment of the eternal offering. Here's some pictures from that. So that took place. I mean, this is completely moving in that direction. The Jewish people are absolutely moving all of this towards that taking place. And this is a huge prophetic event, because it's one of the key prophetic events that happens that the Lord says, when this happens, we know the end is near. There's few verses that are very clear that when we know when they take place, that the end is absolutely right about to happen. One of those is Matthew 24:14. The gospel must be preached to all the nations. So when that takes place, the end won't come, the day of the Lord won't come until that takes place. As well as 2 Thessalonians 2 verse 3, as well as just 2 Thessalonians 2, 1 through 4. But the man of lawlessness must be revealed. That says, now brethren, concerning the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and our gathering together to him, we ask you not to be soon shaken in mind or troubled, either by spirit or by word or by letter, as if from us, as though the day of Christ had come. Let no one deceive you by any means, for that day will not come unless the falling away comes first, and the man of sin is revealed, the son of perdition, who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he sits as God in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. As I mentioned, before the temple can even be rebuilt, this sacrifice must take place with the red heifers to purify the priest and those involved with building it. I'll play a video on that in just a moment, but first I want to play this video that just mentions that the red heifer sacrifice could take place in a year, and that, you know, they don't even need the third temple, they just need an altar. They could do the altar on with a Temple Mount, or as other Jewish people are mentioning, they could just do it on the Mount of Olives. The plot of land is already built. So here's a video on that. The audio is a little bad in the beginning, but it's worth pointing out for this video. So here's that.
What in the world is going on here?
What in the world is an interesting expression. The world has just changed in ways that people are only now beginning to feel. The red heifers have just arrived in Israel. They're still less than a year old. They have to be 2 years old in 1 day. But when they are 2 years old in 1 day, we can perform the red heifer ceremony, and that will allow us to begin the temple service in completeness. We don't need the temple to do that. We just need a small altar in the proper space on the Temple Mount. And when we begin the temple service, then it can become a house of prayer for all nations. And that's what we're all waiting for.
So that was taken at the airport when the red heifers arrived. As you can see, the Jewish people, they really believe that this third temple, when it's built, that it's going to be a temple and a place of worship for all nations. I've mentioned that in many third temple videos, which I'll leave in the description, but they're just very open about saying all religions, all peoples, all people are going to come here. It's just very reminiscent and very much sounding like how the Antichrist is going to take over, be a man of peace. He will sign a peace treaty with Israel and in the Middle East, causing war to end that will eventually be broken. But this just all sounds very much like this one world, all falling under the one government, the one monetary system, this one world order. That's going to take place when the Antichrist comes on the scene. When you tie that they're thinking that way in with the Bible prophecies, that's going to be a one world system, it just really sounds like the fulfillment of 2 Thessalonians 2 of the third temple, and the Antichrist being in the third temple really will be for a physical third temple. Here's a clip from a video that came out September 24th from the YouTube channel In Grace, in ties to this whole red heifer thing, and it's just got some good info in it, just in reference to this third temple being built and the importance of having the red heifers to be sacrificed first. So here's that clip.
And you are very involved in the desire for there to be the third temple, rebuilding of the temple, but more specifically, the thing that would have to initiate it all, because before there can be temple worship, there has to be a ceremony on the Mount of Olives, and it has to do with the red heifer.
So once you have this red heifer, you need to go not into the Jerusalem, but actually to the other side, to Mount of Olives, which we could actually see the trees right over there. And there, the whole ceremony of the red heifer happens. Now, this ceremony only happened 9 times in the human history. There are only going to be 10 heifers. And the 10th is going to come in Messiah times. So those 9, the last we had was around 2,000 years ago. That was the last of the 9. Moses conducted the first red heifer. Basically, once you have the red heifer, you then do the ceremony, then you have ashes from the red heifer. And what you need to do is you need to take the ash and sprinkle it on people that are impure. We have different levels of purity. And when you come up to the Temple Mount, you need to be on the highest level. So this has been something that we've been lacking and missing. And we're ready for the red heifer to come back in our times.
So there's some more information on just the importance of the red heifer and how it's crucial. Like, the third temple won't be built until this red heifer is sacrificed, and there's 5 of them now. This could literally take place within a year. So pretty incredible times we're living in to see all of this taking place and unfolding. Worth mentioning in this whole talk of the third temple is that there's an underground temple right now. An underground third temple is really tied to what will be the third temple complex, from what I understand of it. But it's where the Sanhedrin actually currently meet, and it's built right where the third temple will be. It's literally part of what will be the third temple complex, and they could even do this ritual there. They've got the altar. They've got all these things. The Temple Institute even claims to have the Ark of the Covenant. They've got the menorahs there built on site in bulletproof glass, just sitting. They've got all the articles and all the vessels and everything that will need to go in this third temple. It could take place underground, but I do believe that they are going to build a physical one. I really think that that will be what happens, but it's just worth noting this underground temple that's there. The Antichrist will deceive the whole world, and the Jewish people are still looking for a Messiah, sadly, and this one world thought of that they're having often sounds very much like they may just accept the Antichrist when he comes on the scene and brings a time of false peace that will eventually lead to the destruction of the world, really, as prophesied in Revelation and elsewhere in the Bible. Daniel 11:36-37 says, "And the king shall do according to his will, and he shall exalt himself and magnify himself above every god, and shall speak marvelous things against the God of gods, and shall prosper till the indignation is accomplished. For until that is determined shall be done, neither shall he regard the God of his fathers, nor the desire of women, nor regard any God, for he shall magnify himself above all." This is in reference to the Antichrist, and worth noting here is that neither shall he regard the God of his fathers. So this sure sounds like he will be of Jewish descent, because the same word used for God in that verse, is referred to as God in every other mention of God in the Bible. And so this refers to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Yahweh. So it seems with this understanding of Daniel 11 that he will be tied to a Jewish nationality. He will cause the sacrifices to end, as well as sign a peace treaty with the Middle East and Israel that he'll eventually break. Daniel 9:27, "Then he shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week, but in the middle of the week he shall bring an end to sacrifice and offering, and on the wing of abomination shall be one who makes desolate, until the consummation which is determined. is poured out on the desolate. This is also mentioned in Matthew 24 as the abomination of desolation, the Antichrist standing in the temple declaring to be God. The book of Isaiah also references this treaty and this covenant in Isaiah 28:18 that it will lead to great destruction, and that verse says, "Your covenant with death will be annulled, your agreement with the realm of the dead will not stand. When the overwhelming scourge sweeps by, you will be beaten down by it." Also worth mentioning is how much of Bible prophecy is actually in reference to Jerusalem.
Looking for the best cinematic stock footage? Heads up, everyone! Go to artgrid.io. Quiet on the set!
My last video that I just posted about prophecy unfolding in Israel with the two-state solution, and how that is an absolute huge sign of dividing the land in Bible prophecy if that actually goes through. Something interesting worth noting on that was one of the last times that was really pushed forward, a two-state solution. Hurricane Katrina happened, and there's a lot of talk of this going on, and now Hurricane Ian is happening. So that's just something interesting worth noting. Someone pointed out on that video. But much of end times prophecy surrounds Israel, surrounds Jerusalem. The final battle, the Battle of Armageddon, takes place in the Valley of Megiddo in northern Israel. Luke 21 mentions that when you see Jerusalem surrounded by armies, then you will know that its desolation is near, and that when the city is trodden down and trampled down in the time of the Gentiles is complete, then we'll know that the day of the Lord is close and at hand. So much of this will take place in that region. The Jewish people will expect that this Messiah who comes will be their savior, but the prayer, of course, is that all their eyes will be opened and they will learn and see that Jesus Christ is the true Messiah before they're completely deceived to destruction. Same with just the ties to the Muslims and to even Catholicism, who is very close with Muslims, the more I'm learning. But this whole Abrahamic families and all one world religion that's going on, that will be ties to the Antichrist demanding worship for himself and being a one world leader. Hopefully that these people, before the end is finally complete, will see that Jesus Christ was the true and is the true Messiah. So it's really clear to see the Jewish people are desiring this third temple. They're doing everything they can to build it. It seems that these things are moving in that direction in pretty much every area for the third temple to be built and for this to take place. The red heifers are a huge part of that. It will lead to the third temple being built and the Antichrist to declare himself to be God, as referenced in 2 Thessalonians 2, verse 4. And yes, the temple cannot be built until the red heifers purify it. So it's a huge thing, and that could happen in a year from right now. They'll be old enough to do that in just 1 year from today. So amazing times to be alive. Incredible to see. I have a few more third temple clips that I have pulled up. Just didn't really know where to incorporate them in the video, so I'll just put them here at the end. I hope everybody's doing well. I pray everyone in Florida is safe. Let's make sure to say prayers for them and for anybody who doesn't accept Jesus as the Messiah, for them and their hearts and their eyes to be opened, because that's all that matters. That's why we're here on this earth, to accept Jesus as the Messiah and to live for God fully. So thanks for watching, and God bless.
Amen.
These are the red heifers that landed at Israel's Ben Gurion Airport. Rabbis believe the ashes of a red heifer are necessary for purifying priests to serve in a future temple. The heifers were discovered and brought to Israel with the help of the Bonei Israel Building Israel organization and its team leader, Byron Stinson. Rabbis from the Temple Mount Institute approached Stinson about the unique cattle.
For those not familiar with the song, it's all about the Holy Temple.
Wow.
So, as you
Amazing
see,
times we live in.
they have what they need. They are proceeding because they have a workaround. Now, like I had said much earlier in this, probably 3-4 weeks ago, they actually don't have to build the temple either. The temple is actually something that you erect because it is a tent.
They need a proper place to put an altar.
They actually have the altar in that underground vault. So as far as that goes, they have everything that they need to resume the sacrifices. The Antichrist is the one who really needs the Ark of the Covenant in the Holy of Holies. And what I'm saying is that the Holy of Holies is not something to be built. It's something to be erected. It already exists in the form of a tent called a tabernacle. It's a large sukkot. Okay. It is a permanent sukkot. A sukkot is a very temporary dwelling. This is a permanent tent, but it's, of course, just like a circus or revival tent. It's something that you knock down, take somewhere else, and set back up. That was designed that way for them to use it for 40 years in the desert. They had to re-erect it every day, except on Sabbath. So they already have that. And so what they are hoping is that the ground immediately above that vault that you saw will be accessible to them, and so then they can put that thing on top of the ground. And I just saw today where they a video that said they say that is these the Sanhedrin say that they have the Ark of the Covenant. They say that. Well, if they have the Ark, they also have that tabernacle because it's stored in the same chamber. So we're there.
Aren't there other places that say they have it?
Yes, and we did touch on that earlier at that same time. You had asked that question. Yes, we've had many of those places, none of them verified. This one is a little bit more than different. And perhaps I should, at some point, give you the links to those videos, because those were created by a person who was he was a documentarist who does video documentaries from quite a ways back. And he was the one that was following around the real archaeologist who found the real Ark, as opposed to the Hollywood version of Raiders of the Lost Ark. A very, very different story.
Mystic, keep talking. I'll be right back, okay?
Okay, sure. So, they have what they need. We know that they have what they need because they know where it is, even if they can't get at it. So this last video that I saw says they did get it somehow. The reason they couldn't get it was because it was protected. It was defended. So we will see then. This is as of this week. This is October 16th, 2022. And by next April, they are supposed to complete the railway from the airport to the temple. They apparently expect to be able to erect it by the end of next year, because they will perform the red heifer sacrifice ceremony that will provide them with the material they need to ceremonially cleanse, purify both the temple parts, the tools, and the people who will erect it, or build whatever else they need to build. They wouldn't have to build very much. That is my last "you are here" marker, time mark, saying this is where you are in prophecy. All indications are that we just finished the last of the 3 fall feasts, including the Feast of Trumpets.
So basically, and this day of 2023, we're going to find out whether one of those heifers passed the mark, right?
Right now, all of the heifers have passed. They have to continue meeting those requirements right up until they are actually used. Those requirements are very strict. They will be continually looking not only for any blemish, not only including any injuries, but also they will be looking for even one hair that is not the same consistent red color.
Oh, so
this is
that has so that has to be a consistent. That has to be a consistent thing for at least for each other too.
For another year and 1 day, yes, so that they will be of age.
Wow.
And they got 5 of them, so 4 of them could fail, and they'd still have what they need to get started.
And what if they get started and they do it by mistake?
Do what by mistake?
They say they got the heifer and they sacrifice a blemished heifer.
Well, that's in Yehovah's hands. That including the timing.
Yep.
That's why there is a very tiny little bit of uncertainty still left on whether this is the year that the 7-year countdown began.
Okay.
Let's go.
So that was my opening. Now, any more questions?
We have one viewer. I haven't seen anybody come into the chat yet.
That's actually okay because
we do have one viewer, and if you have any questions, feel free to mark them down in the chat, and we'll do our best to answer.
And we'll come back to it next Sunday in the regular chat. Not the chat, the comments. So today is much less structured than the last 2 and a fraction of a week because I did not have time to put these in order. In fact, some of these are pickups from what was supposed to be the last couple of weeks, and the chaos of the last couple of weeks kind of we got skipped at them. So this is basically going to be some additional notes.
Okay.
So this was also happened this week. Not quite so epic, but the only Latter-day Prophet to actually set dates of fulfillment has just had the exact same kind of albums and worse than we on the 2nd of this month.
Hope.
Really?
His name is David Coverstone. He is one of the primary Latter-day Prophets that we are tracking. This is the guy who, his visions, not dreams, his visions involve calendars and a finger moving across the calendar and tapping on certain dates and then punching the calendar and it explodes. All of those have already happened. Most notably the 2020 election. So he came back. He managed to come back on the 13th because he had to have a whole new fiber optic cable installed in his home. And he brought on the 13th. He broadcast the image of the beast technology, or he broadcast about the image of the beast technology. His episode was called AI and the Bible, and he's explaining how man is now built image of the beast technology and are already prostrating themselves in their hearts. Here's a fun fact, a little fun fact, a little personal note. I first read about this happening in a 1966 Robert Heinlein science fiction novel, The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. And it was about it's considered a classic, though hardly anybody's ever heard of it. It's still a classic. It was about a lunar prison colony rebellion against Earth, against being ruled in absentee. And the thing was crucially centered on a neural network-based infrastructure that controlled all of their life support functions and everything that they did. It was their telephone system. Essentially, it's what we now call the internet. It's the artificial intelligence of that internet. And in that story, the vast big thought computer woke up when it had been added on enough neurostirs for it to attain consciousness.
Now ours is actually dedicated between two different super structured mainframes, right?
Yeah. And of course, with the internet and the connection between them, they actually act basically as one, just like the corpus callosum joins the two hemispheres of the brain to make us a whole person.
Yeah. And I've heard theories and that the Antichrist himself is AI.
No, I would say no. It's the image of the beast AI. The Antichrist is a human body that is possessed of a demon, which is unlocked from the abyss. It's now tumbling in the bottomless pit, what they call the bottomless pit. Another way of saying that is, well, he has no gravity. He has no physical contact with the walls of wherever he is. He's suspended in some kind of space, whatever the dimension that is. When he is released, he is then free to go fly back to Earth and take over this body, which is.
He is the one that's supposed to be release the mark of the beast, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I actually have.
Now the mark of the beast. They say is the number 666.
That's the number of the beast. The number of the beast. Yes,
which is the mark of the beast.
I could things for you, but as you can probably tell, I'm back on my laptop. My supercomputer is still offline. Managed to get it up to the point where I can use headphones, but that's about it.
Oh my god.
So all this was done by hand. This is part of the reason I still diagrams for you. But I could easily draw the sun symbol with the 6 major flames, 6 minor flames. The actual mark, which
I was myself trying to just kind of draw a picture mentally of some points about the Antichrist being human, but AI at the same time.
Well, the fusion between a man and a god with a little g. It is the devil's substitute or counterfeit of Jesus. And Jesus was
you look at Elon Musk's neural net. Okay, and that's putting AI and human. So, it's making cyborgs. We're already cyborgs. We just don't have the technology embedded in us. But that Neuralink is making technological devices.
It's part of setting up the beast infrastructure.
Part of you. Okay.
Yes.
So.
And in the process,
would it make sense to maybe speculate that that the Antichrist could be both of them at the same time?
Well, he's a counterfeit of Jesus, also known as Yeshua, in the same way that the Father was in Yeshua, who was a man. And his name as a man, as the Son of Man, he was called Yeshua. As the Son of God, he was called Yahshua. And these are one and the same. He said himself, when you see me, you see the Father. He never said one word that was out of his mouth that did not come into him from the Heavenly Father, from the Creator.
Sure.
Okay, who was known as Jehovah, Yehovah is the correct pronunciation, also known as the God of Abraham and Isaac and Moses. In the same way, the devil counterfeits this by being the spirit possesses the man that is known as the Antichrist, and the beast system is it is a commercial, or let's say it's an official system. It's commercial. It's government. It has a logo, which is the sun, the Mithras sun, and then it has another that represents his number 666 as a coiled snake.
Yeah.
These are the things that I wanted to put up on the screen, and I can't because I don't have my big computer, and my laptop apparently does not allow me to doesn't even allow me to save an image that in a file that it itself creates. The Windows file system is the .img file type, and when I create that .img file type, I can see the icon there, but when I open it, when my Windows 8.1 says I can't open this file type, it's a foreign file to me. So that's why I needed my Windows 10 system, and which has all the image processing I need.
There are converter software that you can download that will help you with that.
Sure, but I can't even open an image file on my laptop. One of the more and more eccentric things my laptop is doing. So anyway, so I can describe it to you, and eventually I'll get it to you. I'll have to if I have to email it to you.
All right.
So let's see. Like I said, I was about 12 years old when I read The Moon is a Hush Mistress, in which described how an artificial intelligent computer participated in the rebellion of a society against its oppressors. And the thing about it was, because this computer was central to everything, a total central control, the power went to whoever had control of it. And the reason why the rebellion had control of it was because there was only one human being that it trusted and liked, and that was the one who was its maintainer, its repairer, its engineer. I also need to point out, again, this is in Revelation. I would like to go chronologically through Revelation. That doesn't seem to be entirely possible, but again, this comes back to this is something that's not happening now. It will happen soon. This is, quote, men will seek death and will not find it. This is when an angel falls to earth and with the keys to the abyss and releases another demon that releases what are described like locusts with men's faces, and the locusts fly, but they have stingers like a
Scorpion.
A scorpion.
Yes.
And the scorpion, unlike natural scorpions, these cannot kill anybody, but they inject pain. They are torturing people who are not sealed in God. And God allows this because it's the last opportunity for them to repent, though very few do, if any.
Yeah.
And so they end up trying to kill themselves to escape it. And they can't. Let me see. How do I describe it? I have it here, but I probably have to call it up from memory. Do you remember? A movie called Groundhog Day?
Groundhog Day, yes.
Yeah, and the director, what's his name?
Chevy Chase.
Well, Chevy Chase is the actor, yes. The
Yes,
main character is stuck in this time loop. And he becomes so in being trapped in this time loop, he tries to commit suicide over and over and over.
Yes.
And each time, he succeeds in killing himself, only to wake up at exactly the same 6 o'clock time the next morning, and nothing is. That's what's happening to these people. Except, I guess they don't wake up the next morning. They just hurt themselves as they die. They hurt themselves, but then they don't actually die. They continue living because they are. And actually, I do have to find that note. I absolutely have to, because that is also part of some of the news we are. We've actually been getting this a while, but very few people have probably ever heard of something called the med beds. Because
I've heard of the med beds.
You've heard of the med beds?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're basically. Did you see the movie Elysium?
I did
Elysium?
not. I did not.
With,
However,
I forget.
I have seen.
I forget.
I have seen
his name. Actor's name. Oh well, but Elysium was about that population that was on that space station up in
Yes.
Earth's orbit.
Yes.
Everybody on Earth was dying because Earth was dying.
Yes.
And the super rich was up in this. Anyhow, they had those med beds.
Yes. So it turns out at this point in time, there are 3 versions of the med bed. One repairs all damage from from losing an entire limb or brain damage, all the way down to repairing the DNA so that you pass on the repair to your genetic defects to your offspring. The second one is a revitalizer and let's see, what's the word I want? Rejuvenator. It reverses aging to whatever age you wish, all the way back to childhood. And then there's a third version. Also, it's supposed to be able to edit out the memories that you want to get rid of, or somebody wants to get rid of. And by getting rid of some of these memories, you can rest easier. You can go back to your life. You are no longer have obsessions, compulsions, perversions.
It kind of makes you wonder why it's not in existence. Why it's not in.
Well, that's the thing. That is what I'm getting at, and that's actually where I want to send you next, to your next video. And I got to find it in my notes. So they are advertising the med beds commercially now. They are giving out free trials, and then people are reporting their trials or their experiences on the net. These are called feedback. So you go to their website and you look at all the feedback. I'm going to call baloney on this one. I'm going to say take it with a fist-sized chunk of rock salt. Mainly because quantum entanglement just doesn't actually work this way. You can't create quantum entanglement just by taking a photograph and then uploading it to their website. That's one of the ways you set it up in your home. I really need to find this because I need to. We could probably find it just by searching, but I really wanted a particular one. I wanted the one that explains how it's supposed to be working. I have known for quite some time that it was holographic. The concept here is kind of a mixture of Star Trek's teleporters but with the ability to edit you as you're being teleported, and it's being teleported in place. So it actually makes physical structural changes to you as you lie on the bed. And it also adjusts your energy fields. It gives you a tune-up. All very new agey. And what I see is that the only people who have any effect from it is, in fact, new age types who have a profound belief, therefore what I would call faith in it, and they are actually being faith healed. There's a couple of them that where the feedback is negative but still hopeful. One man said that I really need and want this to work, so let me help you to troubleshoot it. Here's what I did. Here's the results I got. Then my wife tried it, and she got no results either. The key point he forgot to mention is the fact that, and I wouldn't have known this if I hadn't seen the advertisement showing you how it works, which is you lay on the bed and then you talk to it just like you would talk to Siri and tell it in rather vague or normal language what you want done, and it figures out what you're saying or what it is you want done, and then it figures out how to do it, and then it starts working on you. But it also answers you with a voice. This guy never had an answering voice. It never said anything to him. That was one of my first clues. Okay, it's not working for him because he doesn't have a microphone on. Okay. But, you know, what really tricked me out on this was that when he said, maybe I made a mistake. I took and uploaded 2 pictures. Could that have caused the problem? But then my wife only took 1 picture and it still didn't work for her. Well, yeah, like I said, quantum mechanics doesn't work that way. This looks an awful lot like what a bushman or a someone from an extremely primitive society, when you take an instant picture of them, a Polaroid picture, and then you show it to them and they freak out because they think you just stole their soul. Yeah. Well, this is a 20th century middle-ager like you and me. You ought to know better. That a picture does not cause quantum entanglement. Okay, it doesn't. No. There's no way for it to link. By the way, the control system is at a website somewhere that's using a supercomputer, a quantum supercomputer, which would have the capacity to do this. Okay.
The only way a picture would have anything to do with quantum entanglement is the influence of the picture.
Yeah, and there is no influence of the picture.
Well, consciousness, thought.
Consciousness.
Consciousness. Our inner bioelectrical current is quantumly ran,
and that would require something injected into the brain that has an intimate connection with your neurons, that would then make a quantum entanglement with the molecules in there. And there is a specific part of the brain that appears to be designed just to do that. But they're not taking any injections. They're not.
That's what Musk is trying to tap into.
Yeah, he's not trying. According to the latest news I've got as of this month, his neural wires now thread themselves through the veins inside the brain and then through the capillaries. And then along the capillaries, it sets up electrical fields and influences thousands of neurons along its path. So, and it's also reading them. So it's reading your mind, and it's also copying that back in. And that's the latest. This is a totally biocompatible implant wiring. Kind of looks to me a little bit from the diagrams or the animations they show. It looks a little bit to me like the structures that are growing inside people who took the mRNA shot and are now dying of their blood circulation being shut down from these growing filaments inside their veins. So yeah, that's what it would require, and they're not doing anything like that with the med bed.
You know, it's just we smashed a spaceship into an asteroid and changed its trajectory.
Yep.
We we're thinking that we caused global warming. We're thinking we got this power. We got this power to change God's. And my theory on this whole I think it's a massive mistake for them to go and smash a spaceship into something that God has had in perfect harmony.
Mm-hmm.
God has had this asteroid, put it where it needed to be.
Yeah.
And we went and moved it.
Well, the thing about that asteroid is it's not even close to intersecting the Earth. It's not going to be a near Earth object.
Okay. It wasn't. Now that we moved it.
Well, a lot of people were concerned.
Is it anymore? Is it anymore now that we moved it?
No, its new orbit is inconsequential. A lot of people, myself included, were concerned that it could shatter something, and then it could break apart, and then the different pieces could scatter like a shotgun, and something could hit us anyway. And then I remembered that this is not an asteroid. This is not a comet. This is an asteroid, not a comet. It's solid rock. Yes. So, yeah, they could set up a dust storm, but that would just produce a meteor shower. And again, none of that is even expected to make a light show for us at any time. It's on a completely different path. I was thinking, okay, it's a comet.
We get hit by a comet. We don't got any. We'll never have anything.
Yeah, well, the thing about a comet is it's a big
trajectory of a comet.
It's a big, dirty snowball full of rocks, like when a kid cheats and puts rocks in his snowball. That's basically what a comet is like. And so the concern is that will shatter and splatter in all kinds of directions, but this would not. So this was immaterial. This was just to see, okay, because part of the problem, well, not just that, they need to measure exactly how much, because one of the things you cannot measure easily in deep space is the density of an object. We do gross calculations to figure out the density of stars and planets, but a solid piece of rock. The thing about anything that actually forms in space is that it forms without any gas pressure whatsoever to hold it together, and gravity doesn't. All it does is it'll hold a big block of gravel together, but it's still basically gravel. It's not cement. It's not cemented into concrete. It's still just loose gravel. So again,
until the water compound is added.
So until you smack it, you don't know if it's going to break up into little pieces and fly off, or if it'll just keep on going. So apparently, this one kept on going. It's solid enough, and it just it will take a slightly. This path has nothing to do with Earth. They just wanted to see exactly how much, so that if we do come across something that we want to steer away, then they know how much weight. They know how much weight and how hard smack it. Yeah.
They have a baseline. Yeah.
Yep. A calibration is what this is. It's a calibration of our pool cue.
Yes. Okay, getting back to you had another video you wanted me to.
Yes, with the med beds. Let's see. And I didn't have a chance to, or I didn't. I went. I put the second link up there as you were starting the first link. And I did not have time to. The work is working right up to the last minute. I didn't have time to post that. Opening the seal.
So right.
Because after these random notes, I have to come back briefly and readdress the four horses of the apocalypse very briefly. I only need to look at the first one, the white horse. Let's see. I also need to point out something else that got missed. There were, a little over 7 years ago, there were 2 cows born, not red heifers, but there were 2 cows born with the number 7 perfectly stamped on their forehead. And they were opposite colors. One was white with a clear black 7. It was absolutely sharp. It was the same 7 as what is on your typewriter. It was literally a typewriter 7, typewritten 7, crisp and clear on the head of this cow. Essentially on the same
these
day,
aliens are funny critters.
Yeah. Well, again, the aliens are, well, they're interdimensionals, not aliens. They're not space aliens. They're dimensional aliens. Not really. Not even that, because they were here before us. Okay. So there were these 2 cows. The news reported them as being one born after the another on 2 consecutive days. Actually, if you look at the Hebrew calendar, they were actually born on the same day. One at the beginning of the day at sundown, and the other one at the end of the day just before the next sundown. So the first one is a perfect number 7, and it was strong and healthy. The second one, the cow looks very ragged. It looks kind of unkempt, and the number 7 on its forehead, exactly the same location, but it's blurry, it's ragged, it looks like it's scrawled by a 7-year-old. Okay. So, and then this looked very suspicious.
These cows discovered?
Yeah, these 2 cows were discovered just over 7 years ago.
7 years ago.
Just a little over 7 years ago. And it's important to say that.
That would make it 2014. Let's see, 14.
Yeah.
15, no, that would make it 2015.
2015. Okay. So, because how you interpret that is crucial. You see, Bible prophecy scholars said, "Oh, think about the Joseph's 7 fat years and 7 lean years." Okay. And after those 2 cows were born, we had 7 years of heavy rain, including quite a bit of flooding. Okay. Then we started, it actually was last year, was the 7 lean years. At this time of the year, last year, a year ago, started the 7 lean years. And we have seen that. We have seen a global famine, not just because of a 7-year drought, but because where it did rain, it flooded. There was nothing in between. There was nothing that would grow food. And this was at the same time that governments began to destroy their whole food system, from the farms all the way to the trucks delivering the food.
Yeah, we're still doing that.
Yeah, from billionaires like Bill Gates buying up more than half the farmland. And then much of what's left is bought up by the Chinese government, conveniently right next to military bases.
And in this administration, this presidential administration, this president, what he's done to what he did closing down Canada.
Yes.
Oil line to here.
The pipeline, yes. Shutting down the fuel supply. That's the next step. So we can't farm it, And what little we do farm, we can't ship it because diesel's gone to $7 a gallon, and the truckers are quitting because they can't make business on $7 a
They
gallon.
can't pay for their trucks. They can't pay for they're barely paying for the gas. They're not making any profit.
They can't get any parts from China, the only place that manufactures anything anymore, when their trucks break down. They can't get any of the consumables for their trucks. They can't get diesel fuel, but they also can't get what is it called? The stuff that they put in that turns their smog into something else. Turns their diesel smog into something else. And it's required by law. And the trucks are now designed so that if you run out of that fluid, the truck refuses to start anyway. Now, it turns out, actually, you can fill it with water and it works just as well. The truck will start and run with water in that separate tank, but it's illegal. And then, of course, in California, it became illegal for 7 out of 10 truck drivers because Newsom outlawed private ownership of commercial trucks. Actually, outlawed private ownership of trucks, saying you must join a union. You must work for a corporation if you want to drive trucks in California. Okay.
I mean, my God, their whole, big green deal. Their whole trying to, by 2035 have everything electric here.
Well, it's not even about the green deal.
It's not a comprehensible. It's not even a comprehensible task because we don't got an electrical grid to handle it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You have to buy an electric. You have to buy a Tesla, but you can't plug it in. Yes. No, this has nothing to do with anything green, Brian. Nothing.
No.
Okay.
No. The big green deal.
The
only thing green about their big green deal is their pockets being lined a little bit deeper.
No, it's about shutting us down. One of us just lost a connection momentarily. Am I still sounding okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're fine.
I just got a pop-up warning. No, it's not even anything to do with that. It's corporations are actually government operations, because in order to be incorporated, a corporation is incorporated by the government to get special privileges, special financial and operational privileges. So every corporation is in fact actually a layer in the fascist system. So what they just said is no private ownership of vehicles. No freedom, no free drivers, no freelance drivers. Okay, that's what it is.
I heard something that made me laugh.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to pass a bill to pay everybody that don't want a car $1,000. We'll pay you $1,000 not to buy a car.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, how long have they been paying farmers to not grow food or tobacco?
Give me enough money that's gonna pay for what, maybe 2 weeks worth of gas, 3 weeks worth of gas.
And this is another thing they did starting about 2 years ago. They told farmers, we will pay you to not grow this food. And if you do pay it, if you do grow it, we will fine you so that you cannot make a profit.
Right.
And the reason why this is biblical is because it is not limited to the U.S., much less California. The farmers in the Netherlands are now in full all-out rebellion because they can no longer lawfully, legally farm, and they have been told, you must sell your farm to the government so we can build houses on it, or we will take the land. So they have nothing to do. They cannot farm. They cannot put any fertilizer on the soil. Oh, of course, there's no fertilizer anyway since we shut down the gas line. Commercial fertilizer is produced chemically from natural gas, which came from Russia.
You're right. This whole thing, it's global.
Every single part of the supply chain has been broken worldwide. So you have that, and then you also have the rain plus floods. It never rains, but it pours everywhere in the world. Never, ever, ever rains, but that it floods. How do you grow anything? You don't. So there are natural and unnatural, supernatural and man-made interferences with the food supply. We will all be starving very soon.
And it's called, and you've heard of HARP, right?
Yes, I'm familiar with how it works.
Yeah,
and it works many different ways.
It's just another.
Realize that HARP is not a single machine owned by the U.S.
No, it's a network.
Every country in the world has a version of HARP.
Yes.
That's why weather has been weaponized and turned into a weapon of war. This is part of. This may be part of. Yeah, maybe it's not natural at all. Maybe this is the man-made weather control, but it is men possessed of demons, and allowed to be possessed of demons, because it does fulfill Revelation prophecy, and that is what the black of the apocalypse.
Yeah,
it's massive starvation and poverty. The handful of people that are allowed to have a job have to work 12 to 17 hours a day for each of their meals. One meal a day for a day and a night's work. In other words, this is what's happening in China with all their industries, like their electronics that they make for us. Those people have to work until they drop. Some of them die on the job. Their children are held hostage to work this way, to produce.
For a little bit of rice to eat.
This is why we call it slave labor.
Slave labor.
Yeah. Which, of course, no one else in the world can possibly compete on a price point in a global market. So, let me see if I can get back on track here. So, yeah, so after these two cows, there was intellectual interpretation of the 7 fat years, the 7 lean years. Then we had confirming latter day prophets, last days prophets, saying the same thing. This is, in fact, what it means. And then we had a reminder that as of last year, the 7 fat years ended and the 7 lean years were now beginning. And then over the last 12 months, we have seen this playing out. Every day I go to the grocery store, I see things disappearing.
Yep.
But not as fast as I expected. I have seen it in many, many, many videos across the country, just not in California, partly because California is an industrial zone. But
I was at Walmart earlier today to get a few things, and absolutely, no butter.
Right. But for 5 weeks now, I have not been able to. Yeah. For 5 weeks now, no one in town has had any hydrogen peroxide, and that's something that I use all the time.
And I asked the gal that stocked it. I was like, "Where's the butter? Can you get me some?" We don't got that. Your Walmart, you have no butter in the back. You have nothing.
Yeah. You can make your own butter. You go and buy whole milk. That's not skim milk.
Yeah.
It's 4% fat, and you put it in your blender and you churn it, and on low speed, or you put it in your food processor, and basically you just beat it, and after a while the butter rises to the top, and then you collect that butter together, squeeze the milk out. And then it doesn't taste like anything until you saute it. You need to put it in a pan and saute it, and then it tastes like butter.
It kind of helped me put some things into perspective, I guess. Because you take it for granted. You go to Walmart.
Yeah.
You expect them to have butter, something like butter.
Yeah, because Walmart is a globalist store. They're supposed to have everything when nobody else does.
But to see their shelves empty, something
Yes.
wrong.
Actually, Walmart and is one major grocery store. They just declared. Oh, I know what it was. They just canceled all of their holiday orders.
Really?
Yeah. Now I went into Walmart yesterday, and I went to the gardening section looking for some very specific gardening products, and there were only a couple of handles of gardening products on the liquidation aisles. All of the entire gardening section of the store has been replaced with Christmas decorations. Nothing else. There's only Christmas decorations. Walmart has officially canceled all their toy orders, all their normal Christmas things. And what do they know? There won't be a Christmas. There just won't be a Christmas. Yeah.
My friend, we're going on an hour and a half, and
okay.
Christy just gave me my dinner is ready warning.
Okay.
And so we're gonna need to wrap this up a little bit and get ourselves prepared for next week.
Okay, let me throw in one more bullet point. It's crucial to understanding prophecy.
Okay.
And I believe I did not hit on this one. All prophetic code is in a context. All events in prophecy are centered on Israel, on Jerusalem, on the Middle East. Everything else is a peripheral location, like America and Russia. They are represented by beasts, but they are only included because they are about how their actions impact on Israel. It's kind of hard to keep this in mind when you're looking at prophecies, like when the bear goes into a rage, it's now about to go into a rage. The last prophecy on that's coming true now is it will have 3 bones in its mouth, and it will rise up, and a voice will say, "Go forth and shed much blood." The 3 bones are understood to be the 3 neighboring countries besides Ukraine. It will have those 3 countries: Belarus, Kazakhstan, and the third one. There's 4 countries there's 3 other countries besides Ukraine. It will have those 3 countries in its mouth. It will have conquered them by then. So we know that they're about to overrun Ukraine. Once they've done that, they're not going to stop. They're going to take the other 3 countries. Those are the 3 bones in its mouth. Ukraine is not included because it's already part of Russia. Always was. That is when the true bloodshed will spill, and it will spread across Europe. So, again, it's Russia is mentioned only because it then goes down and attacks Israel. It's a prerequisite. So we need to keep that in mind. Throughout prophecy, it's all about God's land, the one with His name on it. Yasriel. So that is. I just wanted to leave you with that, and I'll have to probably repeat that when we start up again next Sunday.
Right.
A lot of these things I have to repeat because there's just so much, but there are some things that are more important to keep in mind than others.
Okay.
Yes, America is in prophecy, and it's called Mystery Babylon, and things do not go well for us. But it's
things aren't going well for us.
Yeah. It actually spends a couple of paragraphs, and it's all about how we're destroyed over a period of time. And that is in Revelation. But it's not considered important it's not considered important to the end times, other than the fact that it was the great commercial power. And now it's gone. And so there is no economy it was the world's economy. Now the world has no economy. That's really what it's about. And if the world, and also it is, of course, the big sister to Israel, and Israel has lost its only real ally. That's it. It's because it impacts Israel and the whole world, So I just wanted to leave you with that.
Okay. It's a lot to think about.
Yeah.
Revelation.
It's a lot. It's a lot to go back and study. If you could go back, if everybody could go back and look at med beds, remember, I don't believe in them. This is an echo.
It's too 200 years into the future, unrealistic.
It's not that. It's
we're
not
200
that.
years.
It's not that. It's that all the 200-year future technology has been suppressed, so you don't know that that's where we already are. Like I said 2 episodes ago, 70%, by my count, 70% of all Star Trek technology is available now, including the tricorder.
Yeah.
I even know how most of it works. And there's more. Who knows how much more there is that I don't know about?
Well, God knows I would love to be sitting in one of these med beds. Because I got a spine. I got a spine that needs rejuvenating.
I understand, but the number one host of all prophets, the Prophecy Club, he said that in prayer and said, I would sure like to have this. And he had a violent reaction to it that was like Yehovah screaming in his mind, no, absolutely no. And even if this is a hoax, you can see how this would be very misleading. And the fact is that the whole thing about the mark of the beast is you have to opt into it. You have to agree to it, even if it's just to save your life. You have to agree to it, or else it does not count towards taking your soul from Yehovah and from Yeshua. So,
Well, Mystic, I want to thank you again for this
Okay.
Sunday, for enlightening us again, and sharing your wisdom and helping us to understand what's going on in this book. Because as much as I've studied, I still so much about Revelation, so much about every single book in this Bible.
Yeah.
That
The problem is you have to put it all together, and that's what Revelation does. If you don't know about all the other prophecies, you can't read Revelation, because Revelation is nothing more than a pointer to all the other prophecies. And I will try to make that direct connection next time. I will show you exact parallels between Isaiah and Revelation, the exact parallels. And Revelation just gives us a different spin with a little bit more or a different perspective. It gives you a more time inspective, and it shows you this is the time that happens, whereas Isaiah just describes in detail how the politics goes.
All right, sir. Well, I'll remember that. I'll remember next weekend to remind you of that. And,
well, I will write it down immediately. Actually, it was what I was writing when I ran out of time this week.
All right. Well, listen. As much as I would love to stick around and Jose Perez just come in. Came in right as we're leaving. At what time does this start next Sunday? 4:00, sir. What part of the world are you in?
And
it's 4:00. 4:00 Pacific time.
Yeah.
So
just go back to the same channel last Sunday. Actually, you need to go back 4 weeks, I think it is, to see the first episode. You're in the U.S. Yeah, okay. So are you on the Pacific Coast, Atlantic Coast, Middle State?
It depends, because wherever you're at, it's 4:00 Pacific time here in California. California time, 4:00. He says, what?
What? Um, if you're on the Pacific coast, or if you're in California, Oregon, Washington, uh, Baja,
What part of the U.S. are you in right now?
it will be 4 p.m. If you're east of us, east of the Sierras, then it will be an hour or 2 or 3 later.
I think it's 3 hours. 3 hours later. Yeah.
Ahead of Washington.
I know the further west you keep going, like towards Hawaii.
Yeah.
Time goes backwards.
Yes.
You go east, like towards New York. Time goes forward.
Okay, so you're in Florida.
You're in Florida.
Okay, so that would be 3 hours earlier. That should make it 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. in your time, if I'm not mistaken, because Florida is the same time zone as Washington, D.C.
Florida.
Right?
If we're 4 o'clock, it's gonna be 7 o'clock their
Later,
time.
yeah, later, 7 o'clock. Sorry, 7 o'clock.
Yeah, so
it'll be 7 p.m.
7 o'clock 7 o'clock p.m. your time is when you can catch my live show.
In the meantime, go back and look at the earlier episodes. Episode 1 went well. Episode 2 was total garbage because we had severe technical difficulties, which looks suspiciously like it was the restream service, not us.
Yeah.
So you'll skip the second one when I am mumbling and he is not. Today he's not mumbling, but he's awfully quiet.
Yeah. I know it's just microphone.
It could be, or it could be that your Windows operating system just suddenly decided to turn off the mic boost or something like that. I've got switches being thrown on my computers all the time. Every time I want to use, pretty much every time I go online, I have to turn my IP version 6 back on. The protocol that makes the World Wide Web work keeps getting switched off. And I have to go back and turn it on. I have to have a direct link to it so I can keep turning it back on. It just randomly turns off.
And it drive you crazy.
Right in the middle of a show sometimes.
Well, Mystic, I want to thank you again for this. And I want to tell you have a good night and God bless you.
Yeah.
And you have yourself a wonderful week, this coming one. And we will talk to you next Sunday.
Okay. Get in there before your famine starts.
Yep. All right, buddy. You have yourself a good one and good night. And we will talk to you again.
Yeah.
All right. My friends. Jose, what? 7 o'clock your time next week, okay? Good night. God bless you. Hey, man. God bless you too. Mystic 22222. I want to thank you again. Your enlightenment, your wisdom is just mind-blowing sometimes. So that's why I'm so happy to have you on the show. So you have a good night, everybody. You have a good night. God bless you. Y'all know the rest. I think y'all know the rest. Have a great night.